In 2012, when I got downsized from my corporate radio job, there was only one thing that I was absolutely certain of. I was not going back to radio. Now, radio was a business that I loved. It was something that I had wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. But it had changed so much, and it just wasn't fun for me anymore. So even though I was unemployed and had absolutely no idea what I was going to do, there was one thing I was absolutely certain I wasn't going to do, and that was put out my resume and find another radio job. Now, ever since I was a kid, there's always been an entrepreneurial spirit inside of me. I've had all kinds of businesses all throughout my life. Everything from selling baseball cards to having a bicycle repair business. For 3 years in a row, I was the #1 newspaper subscription seller for the Hamilton Spectator in my district. There's always been this side of me that wanted to be my own boss, that wanted to be the master of my own destiny. But as I got older, it became harder to pursue that. Let's face it, when you're an adult and you've got legitimate financial commitments and responsibilities, it's hard to think about setting out on your own. It's hard to give up the security of that steady income, that paycheck that you know is going to be there every 2 weeks, to try and pursue the unknown. Taking that step, that leap of faith to become an entrepreneur when you're an adult, well, let's just face it, most of us aren't willing to do it. I knew that I wanted to. I knew that voiceover was something that I had been doing on the side for years, and I had always dreamed of being able to do it full time. I had always dreamed of having that job that would allow me the freedom and flexibility to create the lifestyle that I wanted. But I was afraid to take the leap of faith, which is perhaps why I ended up losing my corporate radio job. Sometimes I think that it was a blessing more than anything. Because I wasn't willing to take that leap of faith, God just sort of kicked my butt into it. He forced my hand, put me in a position where I had no choice. It was either I did something or I lost everything. And so by the summer of 2012, after I had spent a couple of months feeling sorry for myself and contemplating what my next move was going to be and joked that maybe I'd just go work at McDonald's or something like that, I finally made the decision. I made the commitment that I was going to pursue voiceover full time, that I was finally going to take a hold of this opportunity that had been presented to me, and I was going to follow that entrepreneurial dream that I had had since I was a kid. I was going to be my own boss. I was going to be the master of my own destiny. Or, as I joked to all of my friends and family, from this day forward, the only idiot that I answer to is me. That was the way that I like to describe it. I read a book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Crush It, and that was probably one of the single most inspiring books that I have ever read in my life as far as jump-starting my desire and my motivation to build my business. And it's one that I strongly recommend that you check out. Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. And when I read that book, I instantly started doing the steps that I figured were necessary in order to build for myself a voiceover business. Now, for those of you that are familiar with me, and maybe you're familiar with my blog at marcscottvoiceover.com, if you go back to 2012, you'll see a lot of blogs early in 2012 talking about voiceover. I wasn't an expert in voiceover when I was writing those blogs. I was a student of voiceover and of business. Everything that I was writing in those blogs, those were the things that I was learning along the way on my own journey to take voiceover and turn it from a hobby into my career. From something that I did on the side to earn a couple of bucks into a profession that allowed me to earn a living, to earn the lifestyle that I had always dreamed about doing. All of those blogs were inspired by what I had read in Crush It, and all of those blogs were inspired by the things that I was learning along the way, the lessons that I was learning along the way. Everything that I have ever written in a blog, every video that I have ever made and posted on YouTube, they all come from a place of a student. These are the things that I have learned along the way. And eventually I found myself in a role where I moved from student to mentor and coach, which is why I started doing a lot of the videos and things that I was doing, because I want to be able to teach. I want to be able to help you to get where I'm at today. It's 2015. It's only been 3 years. I can't believe how far I have been able to come in my own journey, in my own life, and in my own walk into this voiceover dream of mine. I can't believe what I've been able to accomplish. And it's not because I'm someone special. It's not because I've got giftings that other people don't have. It's because I have learned the process along the way of entrepreneurship, of small business, and of voiceover. I've put all of the pieces of the puzzle together and I've turned it into a business where I'm making more money than I ever made when I was working in radio. Am I one of those top-level voice actors that's making multi-six figures every year? No, I'm not. Will I be one day? Yes, I will. I'm sure of it. But being able to earn the income that I'm earning now, pretty much double what I was ever making in radio, it's already afforded me one of the number one things that I wanted, and that was the freedom and flexibility to live my life on my terms, to decide how I was going to use my time, to enjoy the things that I wanted to be able to enjoy, to literally be living the dream. And that's what I tell people when they ask me, what do you do for a living? I'm living the dream. That's why I make videos. That's why I write my blog, because I want to be able to teach you the things that I have learned along the way. This is not stuff that I am pulling off of the top of my head. These are strategies and tactics and lessons that I have employed in my own life, in my own business, in my own journey. These are the things that I am doing that have allowed me to take voiceover from a hobby where I was making a few $1,000s a year on the side to a business where last year I made almost $75,000 doing voiceover and living life on my terms. I talk to people every day who email me looking for the secret sauce. They want to know what it is. They're looking for that easy answer. And I'll tell you right now, there is no easy answer, but there is a process. And if you'll follow that process, if you'll walk that road and you'll do it in the right way, and you'll put in the time and you'll put in the effort and you'll put in the work, you can find yourself in the same place I am. Like I've said before, there's nothing special about my voice. I don't come from some crazy background where I've got all the connections. I don't work with agents. I don't have paid memberships on any of the casting sites. This is something that I have built on my own, doing business in a certain way to create the lifestyle that I want for myself. And I believe that you can create that lifestyle for yourself too. Think about it. Think about being able to earn a living where you can pay your mortgage and you can pay your hydro and all of your bills are taken care of and you've got a little bit of play money on the side to be able to go on that vacation or to be able to purchase that new vehicle, to be able to enjoy some of the things that you've only ever dreamed about before. Think about being the master of your own destiny. As I joked before, the only idiot that I answer to is me. There are no more bosses. There are no more people to report to. There's nobody else telling me what to do, how to do it. There's nobody else that's in control of my time, that's telling me what hours I have to work and telling me when I'm allowed to take my vacation. I get to make all of those decisions for myself now. This is the lifestyle that I have dreamed of creating for myself. This is the lifestyle that I have created for myself. The number one thing you need, if you're looking for the secret sauce, it's passion. You've got to be passionate about this. If you're looking to jump into the voiceover business simply because you think it's a way to make a few extra bucks, it's not going to happen. If you're looking for easy money, this is not the way to easy money. But if you are passionate about voiceover, if you wake up in the morning excited to get into the studio, excited to find that next client, excited to do that next job, if you have that kind of passion that's going to drive you, then you have what it takes to succeed. You're going to put in those hours. You're going to make that commitment to do what it takes to build your business. When I first started out, I'm not going to lie to you, I was working 6 and 7 days a week. I would get into the studio early in the morning and I would not leave until late at night. Some days I put in 12 hours, some days 14, 16, 18 hours doing all of the things that I thought that I needed to do to be able to build my business to the place where it's at today. Where's it at today? I'm at a place where work comes walking through my door, where I've got a list of go-to clients that are regularly sending me scripts. Not auditions, but scripts. Am I still out there every day marketing myself? Absolutely. Am I still out there every day looking for new leads? You bet I am. I don't ever want that pipeline to run dry. But now, I wake up in the morning with scripts waiting in my inbox, with work walking through my door. And that has made my life so much easier. And I know now that if I want to take a day off because I want to do something else, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to stress about taking a day off and missing audition opportunities and not being able to pay my rent at the end of the month because I know that I've built a business where work is walking through the door. Are you on the pay-to-play sites? Do you have that pay-to-play mentality where you feel like you have to be in the studio all day, every day, submitting every audition that comes and submitting it within the first couple of minutes that it arrives? because you know that if you don't get in within the first 20, there's basically no chance that your audition is going to be listened to? Is that fun for you? Is that the lifestyle that you dream about living? Because I know it wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted to lead. I didn't want to be trapped in the office all day, every day, feeling like I wasn't able to get up and go. I hated that feeling when I was on the pay-to-play sites. When I wanted to go across town to grab lunch or run to the bank or do an errand, and I was worried that if I was gone for half an hour, I might miss 5 auditions while I was gone, and so I would end up not doing it because I felt like I needed to be chained to the studio so that I never missed one of those auditions, so that I never submitted late. That's not the lifestyle that I dreamed of. And that's why I needed to find ways, I needed to find strategies to be able to build my business so that I wasn't relying on the pay-to-play sites to have to do it anymore. That's when I became a student of marketing. That's when I learned how to use social media to the absolute best of my ability. When I learned how to master Twitter and how to master Facebook and how to use these tools to find leads that would ultimately lead to voiceover work. When I learned about email marketing and I learned how to send postcards in an effective way, and all of these different pieces of the puzzle that came together to help me build my business. And then as I took all of the things that I learned, I began to write them in my blog. And it was not just as a way to teach you, but it was also a reminder for me. I still go back and read my old blogs from a year ago, from 2 years ago. I still remind myself every once in a while. It's almost like a journal. It reminds me of the journey that I've been on. It reminds me of all of the steps that I've taken along the way. And every once in a while, I have another one of those aha moments when it's something that I wrote about a year ago that I forgot about. And I read it and I'm reminded again and I implement it again and it helps me again. That's why there's all the content on my blog at marcscottvoiceover.com. That's why I have my YouTube channel and record my tips every week. That's why I have this newsletter and I send out free advice every week. Because I want to help you grow and build a sustainable voiceover business and help you live your dream. And I want to keep reminding myself so that I can keep doing the same as well. So what sort of things do you need to know in order to build your voiceover business? What's it going to take? Well, we already talked about passion. Passion is the first one. You have to be committed to this. You have to love this. Because when you are in the studio, you're going to be putting in those long hours. You're going to be learning how to use social media to find new voiceover leads. You're going to be learning how to mine Google to find all of the leads that you need. And then you're going to be learning ways to market to those people, hopefully being able to convert them to prospects and then ultimately to convert them to clients. And that's going to take major time commitment. Are you willing to put in 12 or 14 hours a day in the studio to get this whole thing started? If you're passionate, you will. The other thing I want you to think about is, what is it that you really want? That was probably one of the most important steps for me along the way, and it's something that I learned from reading a book by Tony Robbins. I had to think about what I really wanted. And when I ask somebody that question, the most common answer that they're going to give is, I want money. I want financial freedom, financial security. That's generally the answer that people give. But is that what you really want? Is money going to be enough of a motivator for you? I can tell you right now that for me, what I really want is freedom and flexibility. I want to be in control of my time. I want to know that if I want to take off for a vacation for a week, I can do it and I don't have to stress. I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm losing any work, whether or not I'm missing out on any opportunities. I'm a volunteer firefighter. I've been a volunteer firefighter for 15 years. Every once in a while, I'll go out on a call. Most recently, I was out on a call where in the span of 2 days, I put in 28 hours on scene because of the size of the fire that there was. And I want to know that when I do something like that, when I'm giving back to my community in a way that I love, I don't have to worry about whether or not my business is failing in the background. I don't have to question taking all that time off to go to that fire call, whether or not at the end of the month I'm going to be able to pay my rent, because I don't know if there's going to be enough money there because I took a couple days off and I wasn't working. I wasn't booking voiceover jobs. I wanted freedom and flexibility. That was the number one thing that I really wanted. Obviously, money provides a level of freedom and flexibility, but what did I have to do? What were the steps that it was going to take for me to get to that freedom and flexibility? How much money was I going to have to earn? How many clients did I need to have? How many clients was I going to have to reach out to on a regular basis and stay in contact with? How many leads would I have to find in order to get to that number of clients that I needed? These were all of the sorts of questions that I was asking myself along the way, but it started with, what is it that I really want? I wanted freedom and flexibility, and I began to work backwards from there. So think about what it is that you really want. Think about that number one thing that's going to drive you. That's the thing that's going to get you out of bed every morning. That's the thing that's going to get you into the studio every morning. That's the thing that is going to help you stay there for 10 or 12 or 14 hours when you're getting all of this built up, when you're starting out. That's what's going to drive you. It's what's going to motivate you. So think about what it is that you really want. What's that number one thing? Is it to have more time? Is it to reach a certain financial plateau? Do you know that if you make $50,000 a year, you're going to be okay? Or if you're making $75,000 a year, you're going to be okay? Is it because you're trying to get a new house for your family and you got to figure out exactly what it's going to take you to be able to make that down payment and then make those monthly mortgage payments? Figure out what it is that you really want and then work your way backwards from there. I knew that I wanted to be in control of my time, that I wanted my freedom and flexibility. That meant that I couldn't be tied into the studio all day, every day submitting auditions. I needed to build a client base for myself so that I had, as I mentioned earlier, work walking through the door. Once I found myself in a place where I had work walking through the door, I knew that I could free myself from the pay-to-play sites, that I no longer had to be chained to those sites all day, every day, submitting those auditions because there was a big enough, regular enough client base for me to have work walking through the door. So that was what I had to figure out. How do I get there? I get there by finding leads, by contacting those leads, by pursuing those leads and developing relationships and turning them into prospects and ultimately turning them into clients. I became a student of marketing because that was something that was going to be necessary, a step that would have to be taken in order for me to get to what I really wanted. So think about what you really want and then start to break it down into bite-sized pieces, working your way backwards to figure out how you're going to get there. Don't let yourself be overwhelmed by this one giant goal. If it's going to take $100,000 a year to get you where you really want, you've got to break that down into bite-sized pieces. $100,000 a year is approximately $8,000 a month. It's approximately $2,000 a week. It's approximately $400 a day. Break it down into bite-sized pieces to figure out what it is. What's it going to take for you to get there so that you can get what you really want? And if you're able to work all of those strategies together, then you can find yourself in the position where I have found myself, where I am finally living my voiceover dream. At 37 years old, I'm walking around, I'm the happiest that I have ever been in my life. I have had experiences in the last 2 years that I only dreamed about having in the 30 years prior. I have a level of financial security that I've never had before. And I know that it only gets better from here as long as I keep pursuing this dream, as long as I stay passionate about this dream, as long as I keep focusing on what it is that I really want. And if you can get yourself there, you can find yourself in the same position too. Have you got a voiceover dream? Have you got that entrepreneurial spirit inside of you? Have you always wondered whether or not this is something that you can do? I want you to know that it is. How do I know? Because I've done it myself. Want to find out more? Want to get more free advice that's going to help you on this voiceover journey? Sign up at newsletter.marcscottvoiceover.com. Check out my blog at marcscottvoiceover.com. Go back through the archives, keep reading, keep learning, and get on my YouTube channel as well. You can check that out at youtube.marcscottvoiceover.com. And together, we'll take this road together. We'll pursue this voiceover dream together.